Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim?
Cross your eyes and scream, man. Scream for your life.
Welcome, Scream Queens, Kings, and Things. Whether you're screaming at movies or the real life stuff, I'm your host, Jenica Olin. This is my 59th episode, and my theme of the month is Good for Her February, where the trauma and torment women, children, and men, but statistically mostly young girls, go through doesn't have to end in their suffering. It might be a fantasy to get revenge in the way the movies show it, but it's a cathartic escape from the reality we live in when justice is rare. And even when we do get prosecutions, we have things like Jesse Butler, an adult who was convicted on several rape-related charges and isn't facing any jail time. He was technically a minor when he assaulted his victims. So the state of Oklahoma charged him as a youthful offender. Also, he doesn't even have to register as a sex offender. That's something that's extremely disturbing. So why female revenge, and especially rape revenge horror? Because nearly every minute someone in the US is sexually assaulted. Every 9 minutes that someone is a child. In fact, out of every 1,000 sexual assaults, 995 predators will not face any consequences. I got all these statistics from the RAIN website. Yeah, let's keep the fantasy alive because the reality is way more fucked up. Sarah Projansky's Watching Rape argues that feminist analysis of rape films can be potential sites for activism against sexual violence because they make a taboo issue visible. But that in order to end rape, we must engage in debates about it. That's why I'm covering rape revenge this month. And it just coincidentally happens to be right after the biggest dump of the Epstein files, and then us seeing Pam Bondi say that there's no credible evidence that the sitting president is a pedophile, which is 100% false, and we're going to get more into that in this episode, and just how women that center men are also complicit. They can be more than just complicit. They can be active oppressors and abusers of women as well. It just looks different. Before I even get into this movie, if you're a survivor or someone who has been recently assaulted, there's the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-4673. I will have all of those resources for community-based rape crisis prevention centers and things like that. This is not a light topic, and I do not take this lightly. I take this movie, this was probably one of the hardest ones for me to record. I take this very seriously. Hopefully these conversations can help us push forward in our rights for victims, victim advocacy, visibility. Yeah, that's all I can hope for. That's my ultimate goal with covering things like this, is that we can further this conversation, and no matter how taboo the subject is, it's something that we need to make progress on as a society, and we have not. This movie was made 50 years ago, and nothing has changed. If anything, we're going back in time right now. Today, I'll be covering The Last House on the Left, 1972. Directed by Wes Craven, written by Wes Craven and Ulla Isaacson, starring Sandra Peabody, Lucy Grantham, and David Hess. The estimated budget was $90,000, and there was no gross listed, so not sure. The tagline for this movie is, "To avoid fainting, keep repeating, it's only a movie, only a movie, only a movie. Only a movie. Only a movie." Some quick trivia about this film. The Last House on the Left is widely considered what popularized and defined the rape revenge subgenre. It wasn't technically the first. The Virgin Springs, 1960, heavily influenced Wes Craven, and it explored themes of assault and revenge. The Vietnam War was also an influence. This film served as a reaction to the brutality of the era, which Craven felt was not accurately depicted in media at the time, offering a harsh, non-glorified view of violence. It was also designed to explore the collapse of the 1960s flower power, idolism, and the rise of the real-world evil, influenced by contemporary events like the Charles Manson murders. Wes Craven had a desire for realism, aiming to move away from fantastical horror to focus on the terrifying potential for cruelty in ordinary people. When Wes Craven first took his film to the MPAA, they slapped it with an X rating, wanting an R rating for a wider release. Craven went back and removed several minutes of footage, but it still wasn't enough, and the film still got an X rating. Finally, Craven put all the original footage back in and got an authentic rated R seal of approval from the film board from a friend of his who put the rating on the film and released it. Wes Craven famously walked out of the screening of Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs in 1992, and Tarantino famously said, "I can't believe that guy directed The Last House on the Left, walked out of the Reservoir Dogs." Craven responded, "Last House on the Left was about the evil and horrors of violence. It did not mean to glorify it. The movie, Reservoir Dogs, glorified it." According to various cast and crew members, actress Sandra Peabody was genuinely terrified throughout most of the shoot. At one point, walking off set, eventually the filmmakers caught up with her and convinced her to return and finish the film. She felt traumatized, much like her character, the ill-fated Marie. Another person who was disgusted by the whole project was Weasel, actor Fred Lincoln, who says he regrets making the movie. Both Peabody and Lincoln refused to talk about the movie in interviews. This was originally scripted as a hardcore pornographic film, with all actors and crew being committed to filming it as such. But after shooting began, Wes Craven decided to rewrite the script to remove the explicit sex. This was Wes Craven's directorial debut, if you don't count the porn films he made before it, under the pseudonym Abe Snake. Fred Lincoln has stated on numerous occasions that he considers this film to be the worst movie he ever did, and he was a porn actor. Parents taking revenge on the killers or tormentors of their children is a theme Wes Craven would revisit on subsequent films like A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984, or Red Eye, 2005. This movie predated the modern slasher trend by 2 years. Both Black Christmas and The Texas Chainsaw Massacre were released in 1974. Krug, the vicious rapist serial killer in this movie, who oozed with smarminess and one-liners and liked to taunt and torment his victims before killing them, became a very similar type villain, but now in ghost form in A Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, we have a similar bad guy with a big mouth in that movie as well, one who haunts and terrorizes his victims before killing them, also with a similar last name, Kruger, an extension of Krug. The characters are so similar, and their story arcs so similar. Both were done by parents that circumvented the law. You could almost view Nightmare on Elm Street as a sequel to The Last House on the Left, which makes sense. If you're new here, each episode will have an intro. I usually do a brief synopsis of the movie, but I am actually going to skip that this time. Your ears are going to be assaulted enough with the grisly details in my guest segment. We really dive deep into this movie and go kind of beat by beat. So I'm skipping the synopsis on this one. Next week I'm doing I Spit on Your Grave. I'm going to skip that synopsis as well. It doesn't really feel like something we really need to sit in for that long. I'm pretty sure you guys will appreciate that. Spoiler alert, I've made it my job to spoil the shit out of this movie. Let's get into it. Now it's time to talk horror, and my guest today is Sarah from Final Girls podcast. She is one half of a duo. Kelly is the other host, and she will be here with me for my next episode. So what are you currently working on, and where can people find you?
Of course. And thank you, Janica. Thank you for having me. I'm very, very honored to be here with you and talking about such a important discussion and subgenre in the horror genre in general. It's very important. And I feel like you and I can do this subject justice, not to toot my own horn or anything like that. But yeah, I'm one half of Final Girls podcast. We've been around for about a year, and Kelly is my co-host. She is a film scholar. I'm a writer. And each episode, we dive into the tropes and the triumphs and everything having to do with one final girl per episode. So we'll do Laurie from Halloween, and then we'll do Ripley. And we have the well-known ones. We have the lesser known ones. We have ones we like. We have some that we necessarily don't really care for. So we cover all of them. And it's very femme forward. And we're having a good time meeting lots of really cool people. So yeah, we come out on Wednesdays as our episodes drop. So where can they find us? Final-girls.com has all the links.
Yeah. And so I'll also have that in like the show notes. So you guys should definitely go check them out because they're amazing.
Oh,
and
well, we feel the same way.
Support all of our Final Girls and Scream Queens and everyone.
Yes.
And Final Gays and Theys and all of them.
100%.
So today we are talking about The Last House on the Left, and the male chauvinist pigs start out strong with the mailman making disgusting comments about Mary turning 17. He says, like right out the gate, he says, she's about the prettiest piece I've ever seen, as he's like going through her mail.
Within the first 60 seconds of this movie, I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah. This is where we're starting. This is okay. At least we know where we're heading.
And Wes Craven, I give him a lot of respect for this movie. It's because of his intentions with it. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to show the reality of rape and of the patriarchy. Mm-hmm. So I respect what he was doing here.
Yeah. And it was one of his first movies. And I read too that he grew up in kind of like a churchy environment and was only really allowed to watch Disney movies. So he didn't really know what horror was about. And so and it comes across in the movie. It feels very amateurish. And I, don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. I think that's where the film's power is, but you can tell it's an early Wes Craven.
Yes, it is the earliest Wes Craven. Before this, I would have to double check. I don't have it actually in a note, but I remember reading that he was directing like porn.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah. And it kind of shows with the exploitation
I wonder if there's something within the porn industry that he saw that he didn't like, and he wanted to explore the exploitation of women in general. Based on that, there's no comments on that specifically, how this ties into that, but there's just no way that if you are directing porn movies, that doesn't influence this film.
Oh, 100%. And also this movie porn is very much predicated, especially cis heterosexual porn, I feel like is very much, male gazy. But this one, I think maybe you're right. Maybe there was kind of a pivot here because this one definitely challenges the male gaze, because it's usually violence against women in these films is very stylized and sexualized. And I do feel like the way he portrayed the rape scenes and the sexual assault scenes in this film are ugly and messy and just agonizingly long. So that very much feels like anti-porn to me.
So we open with the patriarchy. We have Marie, and she's traveling to the city with her friend Phyllis to attend a concert. And her parents are like very loving. They are more on like the liberal side. They want her to be free and experience life. Like they trust her. You can tell that they're like hippies. They give her the necklace and it has a peace sign on it.
Yeah.
It's also
I like that
cute.
little nod to Vietnam era.
Yeah.
It is. Although her dad is, I mean, we also start with, I'm sure you were about to get that. So sorry if I'm interrupting here, but, but there's a whole conversation about her breasts and it's very icky. And I think I don't know if this was the intention of making him a doctor, but I feel like having the dad be a doctor was kind of but don't worry, we're going to take the edge off that it's a scientific medical thing that he's noticing about his daughter. But still, that's quite disgusting. And he talks about like being able to see her nipples. And we didn't used to wear, or we wouldn't have worn shirts like that. And there's just such a fascination there. And I really got the feeling, and I'll come back to this later when we talk about the second half of the movie, but it kind of sets up this whole thing with her being almost like property, even though they are free spirited and they are like letting her be independent. There is something about how everything ends that makes me look at that early scene first and feel like it's establishing a little bit of male property in his daughter. I hope I explained that well, but
yeah, no, 100%. There's already the male gaze to begin with. Mm-hmm. And the male gaze starts with her father. And
she's in the shower too.
I mean, there's a lot already there we're already starting out with her being sexualized. Mm-hmm. The mom plays into it too. And she's like, well, when I would have never went out without a bra and then they start talking. It's like a generational thing too, where she's like, well, when you were my age, you wore like the bras that like poked out, your tits were just like sticking out, poking out.
Yeah. Like they're like she said something about them looking at cones. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, every generation kind of has their thing that the older generation thinks is immodest. Mm-hmm. But that always stems from the patriarchy and what is expected of women, what they're supposed to look like. They're definitely demonstrating that they're not breaking the mold in that way. They're still part of that system.
And they are dressed very modestly, both of them, considering that they're going to a concert and they're going to Manhattan and the parents make such a big deal of it. And they're in this patriarchal system. All that considered, they're still dressed like they're buttoned up.
Yeah, they have long sleeves on.
It kind of flips the whole, what was she wearing or what were you wearing when it comes to victim blaming? It kind of shows that that's not really a factor here.
They're not, especially like in the 70s, they were kind of risque with some of the stuff that they would wear. There was a lot of like halter top, no bras. The band that they're going to see is also called Bloodlust, which is just kind of a foreshadowing.
It is. Sounds like a metal band these days, but that would have been before Ozzy and all that. So who knows what kind of music that was.
They even talk about how explicit like the show is and stuff like that. So it kind of like has you anticipating some vulgar stuff that's going to happen.
Very true.
With Phyllis, whenever Marie tells her parents that's who she's going with, her mom, no matter how well-intentioned she is, she's automatically already judging Phyllis, acting like she's the bad influence. She comes from this city. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think about that whole interaction with Phyllis and like the parents' perception of her?
It felt a little contrived and judgmental. Like, if they're hippies, why are they so worried about another free spirit? Unless, like you said, there's kind of like a classist undertone, or maybe there's some kind of judgment, or we're better than like othering her for some reason. It doesn't really super get into any kind of exposition about that, but they think she's a bad influence. To me, it doesn't feel congruent with how they're treating their daughter and if they're letting her be so independent. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a lot with the nuclear family and city versus rural, and how the city is considered to be like very sinful and bad. And rural families are like, I'm trying to protect my kids. And they think that they have safety by being further away from the city. But that's all, it's like a false perception of safety because you're never really safe. And I think that's what this movie shows. It's like, it doesn't matter how far out you are. If anything, now you're more vulnerable when someone comes to your home.
Yeah.
We see that with how trapped they are with this group that comes to their house later on in the movie. I loved Phyllis. I thought she was a great character.
Yeah.
She obviously had some, family issues, like family dynamics, stuff like that. When the mom asks her what her mother and father do, she says iron and steel business, and her mother irons and her father steals. And she makes jokes about her rough upbringing. And it's just like, it's very much, anyone who goes through trauma, we use humor. We use, to kind of cope with it. And she's definitely been through it.
Yeah. She doesn't even explain any further than that. She doesn't feel comfortable, apparently. So, and I probably wouldn't either.
Yeah. And she doesn't have to. These are So we go to the city and Marie and Phyllis encounter Junior and they're trying to get some weed. And this is why weed should be legal.
I'm snapping. Yep.
Yeah. So we don't come across these situations that should be legal everywhere. There's nothing wrong with marijuana.
Mic drop.
So they're brought back to the hotel room and Krug immediately asserts dominance through language, proximity, and intimidation on these girls. It's really uncomfortable and it just plays into like men's casual cruelty. They think it's a game. They're like having fun terrorizing these two young girls.
Yeah.
Whenever they first shut that door, like what were your feelings watching that?
Oh, I mean, it's Kelly and I talk about that oh shit moment, and you can sense that pretty quickly. At least Mary has that oh shit moment where Phyllis might be, I don't want to say in denial, but she's a little bit more like, oh, okay, this is a little weird. They're uncomfortable, but Mary, and we talk about, she's not necessarily a final girl, but we talk about that about final girls as well, is they kind of sense really early on that something's off. And Mary definitely has that instinct as well. And you see in this scene, you see them start to fawn. And that always makes me scared and sad for female protagonists. But it's such a dehumanizing way to try to protect yourself that if you can't freeze, you can't run, you can't fight, your only tool at your disposal is to fawn. And they start doing that pretty quickly to Krug. And that was just where my heart started sinking right away.
Yeah, especially with Phyllis. You can see I almost saw her as trying to play it off. Yeah. She had been in these uncomfortable positions before. And by fawning, she probably was able to kind of sweet talk her way out of that situation before it got violent or anything happened. But Marie is very much innocent and she's never stepped into a situation like this. So she's shocked. So I see her as like being shocked from the get-go, but because of Marie's innocence and how she's even portrayed her reaction, she isn't the target at first. Phyllis becomes the target because she's the louder one.
She talks back. Yeah.
Yeah.
She challenges them in a way that they're A, not ready to be challenged, and B, not cool with it.
So they take that challenge as, oh, you're challenging my manlyhood. You are basically like, how dare you? I'm pretty sure they call her a bitch. I'm pretty sure he calls her all kinds of names. He does. I just don't know in what order he says them, but he definitely says them all. And so really, Krug represents male entitlement with unchecked consequences. Like he thinks that these girls' bodies are just like available to him and that it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And he's asserting dominance because after Phyllis kind of talks back, and what's, like you're saying, it's a challenge to his, masculinity for her to fight back and speak to him that way. What's the easiest way for him to reassert that male dominance? It's to undress her and start to sexually assault her. And it's horrifying.
Yeah, no, it's horrifying. And what's the most horrifying is that this is really how these situations happen.
Oh, yeah.
These men really do. When men are committing rape, and assault on women, it's all about control.
Yeah. Power.
And yeah, control and power. And I think that this is perfectly demonstrated with this scene, as horrible as it is. That is what these men are doing.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that we don't see it happen. The camera does not show this first assault. And the thing about that's so interesting. That's why I think Wes Craven does want to go the anti-male gaze route. It's because when we see Marie in the shower, it's very much male gazy. But in this situation, we don't even see anything. And what we don't see, it speaks louder than what we saw in the shower scene.
Yeah. And so what I kind of took away from that was Phyllis is kind of seen as like the bad girl. Mm-hmm. So we're not looking from her perspective. We're not seeing her as a victim, because in society, we don't really see those like more wild girls as victims. Mm-hmm. So he really plays into that misogyny. I don't know if he does it intentionally or not, but he does. And really what we're seeing is innocent Marie and her watching these atrocities happening. So we're forced to be in her perspective. She's seeing something horrid. We're supposed to mirror her shock. Mm-hmm. And her disgust and her fear, mm-hmm. instead of Phyllis's. Mm-hmm. Because really, if he showed Phyllis's shock and fear, I bet you people would not have the same sympathy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like you were saying, with her being the wild one, there's also something slightly obedient that Maria is putting off. She's stunned. She doesn't really know what to do. She's in shock. And there's also a little bit of this obedience where I think that's why they go for Phyllis first. They go for her first. They go for her harder than they do Marie, just because Marie does have, like you're saying, like kind of innocence, but there's also a little bit of tacit obedience as well.
Exactly. But even their reaction with how they treat Marie is very different than how they treat Phyllis. Mm-hmm. We'll get more into that as it goes on. Mm-hmm. But it's very interesting from a feminist point of view and how these gender roles play into it and our perception of different kinds of personality traits, different kinds of girls, different kinds of guys. It's all really fucked.
It is. It's hard to stomach, but you're right. And having discussions about these types of power imbalances and violence. I mean, this was 50 something years ago. And this shit happens like every minute, every day, all day. It's still happening. These kinds of discussions about obedience and control. That's why it's still so important to talk about, because talking about it and, sharing stories and giving each other knowledge is how we fight it. That's our power. Yeah, it's hard, but like you said, we need to have these discussions.
I kind of want to get into Krug and Sadie in this instance, because Sadie at first has her hands cupping Phyllis's breasts. Mm-hmm. And Krug's like, move your hands, bitch, is what he tells her. She just, for Sadie, it's not like she was trying to protect these girls. She was also trying to assert her dominance with them.
Yeah, yeah. And get her quote unquote needs met.
Yeah. But she wasn't dominant. Mm-mm. And it's very evident that she is not dominant in that situation, and they don't see her as the same. And I think that's an important point that we'll get to later as things move on, because these women that are centering themselves with men, and they center men in their lives, they think that's going to protect them. But really, they're just moving the target. Mm-hmm. Once enough women have been brutalized in the wake of them, they will eventually come right back around to that woman. She is not protected by the protection she gives for these men, the excuses she gives for these men, the way she perpetuates harm against other women. If anything, it's like a false sense of security for other women.
Yeah. Yeah. They see her as like a useful asset.
Yeah.
Because if they have a woman there, I mean, they probably assume, because they don't have lived experience, they probably assume that women will see her and be like, oh, this can't be that bad.
Yeah.
And it makes me, when you're talking about, these women put themselves in these circles, it makes me think of Serena Joy and those women in The Handmaid's Tale.
Mm-hmm.
And even the MAGA women.
Yeah.
I mean, they think they're safe because they're one of them. They're not safe. They're not. The minute they aren't useful, they are going to get thrown right under the bus, just like the women they've thrown under the bus.
Yep. If anything, you're seeing exactly how those men are going to eventually treat you.
Exactly.
If they will do it to them, they will do it to you.
You're not special.
No. And they do. Krug automatically puts her in her place, quote unquote, puts her in her place. And in the beginning, before the girls are brought to the hotel room, Sadie says, if you want to get some, she's like, you need to get more women. She's like, you need to get me more women.
I need a couple more chicks.
Yeah. She says, I need a couple more chicks. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what that meant. It meant she wanted the other chicks because she didn't want to be the center of their male chauvinist dog, asshole. Ugh.
Yeah. One of the things I was going to ask you about what you thought is, so I don't even know if we can call her queer coded, because I think there is very much queerness to this character. The film codes her as monstrous, partially through her rejection of this traditional femininity. Like she's man-hating, she's sexually aggressive, but her character made me so uncomfortable for different reasons. And it was mostly because I felt like it really reinforced this old nasty trope that links female criminality with sexual deviance and / queerness. Did you get those queer codes too?
Oh yeah, 100%. She's definitely bi. I think they're trying to make her a bi character. And I think that is like the queer coded, trying to make it seem like this is some kind of deviant behavior that she would also be into women. I think she's even more of just an opportunist.
That's fair. Yeah, it made me uncomfortable because, again, this was 50 something years ago, and biphobia is still very much a thing. And it just felt like this part of the story really didn't hold up for me. And it really, I mean, the whole movie makes me uncomfortable, but that part was like, okay, this is very much a problematic stereotype of the depraved bisexual or predatory lesbian even. So, and this was the 70s, and they're, that's just, that was something since we were on the topic of Sadie.
I think that's a really valid point. I think it is. I didn't even think about that aspect of it, but yeah. I want to talk about Junior for a second, like, especially in these scenes, because Junior is we're made to have some sympathy with him, but if it wasn't for him, they would have never been in that situation in the first place.
Yep.
He's the one who's like, oh, I've got some stuff back in the room. And he brings them into a trap that was set purposely. And as soon as he brings them in, his father, Krug, gives him his fix because he's an addict. And so it is a very stereotypical addict behavior of all they care about is getting that hit, no matter who it harms. It is like a stereotype, but it's also a stereotype for a reason. A lot of addicts really do. They're very selfish and they will put others in danger to get what they need.
Yeah, for their next fix. Yeah. Yeah. And Krug does that also for control, to control him. That's very much just a character thing about Krug is, and obviously, he's kind of like the leader of the pack. So he just thrives on control and asserting his dominance and his power over every single person, including his son.
It's definitely a control tactic because he calls it his yum-yums and when he gives it to him, but it doesn't seem like Krug actually does any drugs. He just uses it as a tool to control Junior.
100%.
It just emphasizes how violence against women often begins in mundane interactions.
Catch them off guard. Yeah. Especially when it's someone you don't know. That's kind of par for the course. That's exactly how it would go. You want to lure them in and, hey, I have some grass, as they call it, and it's very mundane. It's, especially for someone like Phyllis, who's probably done this time and time and time again. there's no red flags for her to be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll go into your random house to get your primo grass or whatever he calls it.
Yeah.
It's the same as like the random acts of violence, like in a parking lot. You know, it starts with someone just kind of skulking, and
it's very opportunistic. All these things are very opportunistic.
Yes.
So next we have Marie and Phyllis are abducted and taken into the woods. And this whole sequence, like next day, the next morning, the music is intentionally very like almost like circus music.
Like banjo music. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It's so jarring.
It is.
It's very like slapsticky, and it's just, yeah, and this is what really made me feel disgusted. And I know that's kind of the point. There's like a whiplash that I heard that Wes Craven had no real experience with the horror genre. So maybe he felt like this was necessary. I also read a lot of people that were saying it's intentionally jarring to contrast the horror of the other scenes. For me, it cheapened it. And it's not that I want to see a 2-hour movie of that horror, which is basically what the second movie or the remake is, but it took me out of the moment, and it felt like it really cheapened the experience of these women, the violence that they experience. And in so doing also kind of cheapens every woman who sees that. Like if I had experienced something that horrific, and I saw that the banjo slapstick music right after these intense scenes of violence, I would throw up. Like I straight up would be so traumatized and triggered, because it seems like it just doesn't take that experience seriously.
I agree. And while you were talking, I kind of thought of how in society, we don't take those things seriously.
Exactly.
So it kind of almost works for me just in the way of the next morning you would wake up and act like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, that's so true. Actually, you're right. I didn't consider that.
And so it's just showing how little these people think about what they're doing. And honestly, how little society will think about it too.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you have incredible violence, and then you have two like Looney Tunes cops that are, you know, falling off the hoods of cars and stuff like that. You're right. It's kind of like, you're right. The jarring is probably intentional, or at least serves its purpose.
Yeah. And that's kind of what he was saying too about like the Vietnam War and all the horrible things people were seeing, well, on TV. And then they would just go about their normal lives like nothing was ever happening. Yeah. And we're kind of seeing that now too, where especially I'm always on Instagram and TikTok and things like that, and like making my posts, my daily posts, all this stuff. And you see these people who are just like in fucking La La Land, and they never mention anything about the events that are happening. And they're just like, oh, so, you know, this is my haul that I got at the thrift store this week. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, how are you functioning in that way that like you can't even, I can't function that way. I can't, but people do it all the time.
It's almost like those scenes with the cops and the banjo music is like what their brain looks like, while everything else is while, you know, families are getting kidnapped off the streets. And then you have these people with their thrift store hauls with the, you know, in their heads. Like it's such a stark difference.
Yeah. So the brutalization of the girls started in the hotel room, and Krug gets progressively more sadistic towards Phyllis, like by making her piss her pants and then making the girls hit each other. And all of it is just an act of sadomasochism and control. And Phyllis was already raped and humiliated, which we didn't see, but it happens again before they focus on Marie. But again, we don't see it.
Placing the camera on the ground too. There's so many artistic cinematography choices here. So this camera work is very, it's all brutal. It's very guerrilla style. It removes the Hollywood gloss. And I think that's one of the big critiques about the remake is it kind of adds all that Hollywood gloss back into it that Wes Craven did not intend. And you're not watching a movie. You are watching a crime scene. And the other thing about it is the camera, I think this might have been when they were assaulting Marie, but the camera is right on the ground with each of the victims, and it forces you in the audience into the mud with them. We're not safe we're not safe for distant observers. We are right there in it with them. And it's, you can't look away. And that's the point. You're not supposed to look away. You have to stay and watch. You have to feel dirty, just like the characters do.
Yep. It lingers on it. It lingers on them, the pain that they're going through and everything that's happening to them. It's not holding your hand and saying, oh, this is okay. You can look away now and we can pretend like this didn't just happen. No, this is happening. This is happening, and we're gonna face this together. We're gonna face this hard, dark, fucked up reality that one out of every 5 or 4 women goes through in their life. Yeah.
And what's really interesting? You've brought up the Vietnam era and how a lot of this was commentary on the violence and us being spectators to the violence and also turning a blind eye to the violence. The other thing is, I don't know if you mentioned the tagline, but it was like, if you get sick, just keep telling yourself it's only a movie. It's only a movie. It's only a movie. That if we're looking at this and this violence in the lens of it being about the Vietnam era, that tagline is actually a lie, because it actually is this reflection of this society that's desensitized to the nightly news footage of Vietnam. And so when you're looking at these scenes and the violence of these scenes and you're supposed to tell yourself it's only a movie, no, it's actually not, for lots of reasons.
Yeah, no. It is very much like an oxymoron in that way. I mention the tagline in the intro of the episode, but yeah, it's very powerful. And it's because it is confronting you with so much harsh reality. A lot of people, that's how they make themselves feel better about it.
And it comments on hippies too. Like the hippies, the killers look like hippies, but they're the ones that are like the soldiers committing the war crimes.
Yep.
Lots of layers.
Yeah. There's a lot of superficial safety nets that we have.
Yeah. There really are.
It's just kind of exposing those and saying, hey, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, you're not safe. No one is safe from this stuff. It can happen at any time.
Yeah, that's patriarchy.
Yeah.
If you're not cis, het, male, Christian, you're really, I hate to be bleak, but we have a long way to go if you're not one of those protected classes, there's a long way to go for you to be safe.
Yeah. Yep, there is. And these conversations have to happen for us to even get there.
Exactly. And unlearning, especially for these white cis het males, unlearning this by us mentioning that, we're not accusing you. We're just saying, hey, this is our lived experience. So if you want to really help us here, do this unlearning, because it's built in. We're conditioned for this to be normal. Maybe that's part of Wes Craven's message here too.
It for sure is. Yeah. And he does that repeatedly in all of his movies.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting shift in tone when Marie and Phyllis are forced to strip. Anytime Phyllis is being assaulted, we're made to look away, and we're kind of seeing from either Krug or Marie's perspective, either the glee that he's getting from it, or we're getting Marie's perspective and her shock. And then in this moment, we're getting both of them. And this is where Marie's torment really begins. And Phyllis is trying to protect her. Yeah. Phyllis is she's like, it's okay. She's like, we're going to do this together. I'm going to strip with you. She's helping her get undressed because she doesn't want her. She knows that if Marie doesn't comply, they're going to get violent towards her to make her do it. It's amusing to them to watch Phyllis kind of try to protect her. And this is Phyllis still being defiant to them.
Yeah.
And not letting them 100% get their way. So they're still not done punishing her for not following their orders. It's just probably the most emotional scene. The music that's playing is very sad.
It's emotional. It's cuts deep. It's designed to do that. And it's part of the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Like the atmosphere is just really dirty and it's just painful. You know,
Yeah.
it's all designed to elicit those emotions, and the music and the score is definitely part of that. That's why, you know, I mentioned like when we were talking about the banjo music earlier, that's why I felt like it was so, it cheapened it just because it didn't fit the tone. You know, obviously that's a good thing and realistic, but also the music in these moments, especially the other sounds we hear crying and sobbing and pleading and zippers and, you know, the rustling branches above them. And it's just, yeah. The sound it's quite something.
I found the word in here, melancholic.
Yeah.
Melancholic tone.
Yeah.
But yeah, Marie is crying and she's sobbing. And Phyllis is there trying to comfort her.
Mm-hmm.
And really just trying to protect her the best way she can.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this whole scene emphasizes our empathy towards Marie, who's believed to be like the virgin, versus Phyllis, who is the rebellious, troubled one. Anytime something before this has happened to Phyllis, we don't see it on screen. Now that Marie's receiving the same treatment, we're forced to see it with a level of depravity that we didn't see before.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And the way they play cat and mouse with Phyllis is very intentional to show the way women are trapped.
Mm-hmm.
Even Sadie enjoys the chase because she isn't the prey. Mm-hmm. She gets a taste of what it is to be the predator.
Yeah.
And that's much more intoxicating.
Yeah.
And that's a much better feeling than being the one that's hunted.
Yeah. Yeah. You get the feeling she probably has been. I mean, she runs in circles like that, around men like that. She absolutely has been victimized.
Yeah. And so have these other women that helped Epstein get other women. It's exactly what that was. They had also been victimized, but they decided they didn't want to be victims. So they turned it on other vulnerable young girls, because just the same way, it feels better to be the puppet master than the puppet, as fucked up as that is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just about safety. It's about the power that comes with it that you aren't afforded very many places, period, especially around men like that.
Yeah. Krug goes, the rest of them are still there. And Phyllis asked if she can put her clothes back on. She says she's getting a little cold. At that same time, she's also able to get Marie dressed. She's trying to get Marie out of this. So she leans over to Marie and she says, I'm going to make a run for it. When I run, they're going to chase me. You need to run. And so Phyllis runs. And of course, Sadie and Fred chase her. So Marie is left with Junior. And Marie could have easily gotten away from him. But again, with Marie, she's afraid. She doesn't take things for herself. She waits for someone else to give her permission. So she doesn't know how to escape.
Yeah. More of that obedience. And like we saw from her dad, I mean, there's kind of this weird ownership and this weird, goes beyond parental power balance. It's a very patriarchal discomfort with doing anything without permission. It's very much like he feels like she's almost property to him. So Phyllis runs, right? I really wanted her to get away. It seemed like she was so far ahead of them at some point. And then when they catch back up to her, it's just... I know. She's so close. It kind of reminds me of Helen Shivers in I Know What You Did Last Summer, where she's right there. And then, it's like... Oh, it's hard. It's really, but again, I mean, that's what makes you sympathize with her as a character so much. It makes her inability to escape and her eventual murder just even more traumatizing. Yeah. And her murder is very brutal. It's very graphic. Mm-hmm.
So Weasel and Sadie they eventually catch up to her and they start to stab her. And it's like, it looks so survivable at this point. Because he's just got this shitty little knife.
Yeah.
Oh, his shitty little knife. Fucking hate that knife.
Yeah.
He always brought it out. It was just like, yeah, we get it. You have a small dick.
Oh my God. I know. And like the way it's so unceremonious. And again, you don't see it. Kelly and I call it the money shot when you see the actual violence happen. But considering that this is a rape revenge, I'm not going to call it that. But you don't see the knife go in. You see the blood after, but it's very unceremonious. She also doesn't scream. I couldn't remember her. I think she screams before, but then I just remember it being just very like so much buildup.
Yeah. I almost feel like she's in shock.
Yeah.
And
as you would be.
Yeah. You see the blood down her leg. Mm-hmm. And it's just so, like you were saying, it's gorilla style. Mm-hmm. It zooms into certain parts of her body that are getting traumatized. Mm-hmm. So we're witnessing pieces of her. And this is also dehumanizing. Because we're not seeing her full body. We're not seeing her face. We're not seeing how she's really reacting. We're seeing the result of the harm. We're seeing the blood. And eventually she ends up on that tree and she's so far, like she is almost next to the wall, like where the police could see her.
Yeah.
She's right there.
So close.
They even make a comment. They're like, oh, we don't think she's going to get there. Mm-hmm. At that point, they catch up and he's like, I think it was Krug was like, see, I said she wouldn't get there. Mm-hmm. Then they surround her and they go in for the kill. And that's when sadistic Sadie, really like shows her hand and she wants the knife and she wants to be the one to finish it. She cuts her stomach and she starts pulling out her intestines.
Yeah.
Which is so fucking gross.
Yeah, it's really gross. And I don't know. I don't know enough about that era of filmmaking, but it seemed quite shocking. Not after the torture porn era that we've been through, but 1972 feels like it was probably pretty shocking.
Yeah, I think it was very shocking.
Yeah.
That was the point.
Yeah.
To linger on the violence but again, the camera is lingering on the different parts of Phyllis and not her as a person. So it's still very dehumanizing to Phyllis. Whereas when we get Marie, you see her or you see her expressions. Once they're done with Phyllis, they go back over to Marie. And this is when they start to torment her. They're laughing at her. She's like, where's Phyllis? And they have her hand chopped off and they like bring it out, and show it to her. And she's screaming and she's crying. And it's sick and it's sadistic and they think it's fun.
There was this one moment, I think it might've been right before that. And the whole woods forest sequence is kind of jumbled in my head. So I'm not sure if this was the exact point, but there is a moment after the brutal rape and the murder. There is a moment where it's kind of like quiet and they sit in silence and they're staring at the blood on their hands. And it was like this fleeting moment of self-awareness that I think shows that they're not mindless beasts. They possess this capacity to like have like feelings of guilt or something like that. And it was one thing I noticed and I picked up, and it's honestly like one of my big critiques of it. I know it has the right amount of remorse and reflection where it was like they feel it, they acknowledge it, and then they just bury it and keep going and being, sadistic, evil killers. Yeah. And the choice to suppress that humanity is even more terrifying than the lack of humanity. I think if there was zero reaction, they would just be like these kind of cartoony villains. If there was too much, it would offer them redemption that it just refused. Yeah, that they don't deserve. And that was one of my big things about this movie is it just refuses to let the audience dehumanize the killers. And that makes their actions more horrific. And I just really, really dislike that part. And I know why it was done. And I know it was done well. It's just, it was I think just because it's done well doesn't, all of this movie, my big critique about this is that just because it's, you know, historical and done well doesn't mean that we need to see certain things. And
Yeah. So, okay. I have a little bit of a different take on that, but I'll kind of walk you through it. So, so we get that point where they're tormenting her with the hand, and they all have Phyllis's blood on them.
Yeah.
They don't have any kind of remorse over Phyllis at all. They're very much like gloating, holding this over Marie and, you know, torturing her with it. And then right after that, we get the rape scene, and it's extremely realistic in the way that the victim's depicted. Like, this is the only time where she's not screaming.
Yeah.
She
disassociates. Yeah.
We get the fight, flight, or freeze, and she freezes, aware that there's no way for her to get away. And she's not accepting what's happening, but she is disassociating. And this is something that our brains in our bodies do to protect us from the damage that's being done. And you can see that she's just no longer responsive. There's no more screaming, no more crying. It's repulsive. It's not, that whole scene is repulsive. It lingers on his stupid fucking face.
Yeah.
And you hate his stupid fucking face. And then it's over. There's no, like, just like it is. It's over, and it's messy, and it's dirty, and it's gross.
It's really
and there's nothing sexy about it.
No. But the weird thing is, the one part of that rape scene I'm thinking is he puts his face on hers. Yeah. And when he's pulling up, he has like the spit, like these strings of spit. And it reminded me of porn in that it's this movie. This is one of my big critiques. This movie claims to be anti-violence, but it does use a lot of the same visual language as porn. And it lingers on those things. And yes, that's very messy and disgusting. Again, do we need that? Just because it works, I don't know if we need it. But it almost feels like I think of that spit because it's such a visceral scene. It feels like the camera is a little bit complicit because it is such it reminds me of porn so much. It like stops being the critique of the violence. And I feel like at some points of these violent scenes, it almost like gets off on it. It's kind of like a have your cake and eat it too situation. That's why that was one of my biggest critiques about that scene in particular, is it felt a little too sexualized for me.
I didn't see it that way. I just saw it as disgusting and in your face.
That's very fair too.
Yeah, I just saw it as like, I mean, the spit, like I've watched a lot of porn.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that kind of like that close up. That is just like, he's just like smooshing her.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's not sexy at all.
It's not sexy at all.
It's not sexy at all. You know, there are so many rape scenes in movies where you are kind of looking from further back.
Yeah.
And you're able to not face the reality of exactly the disgustingness of what's happening. And for me, seeing his face was, you're repulsed.
That hit it for you. Yeah.
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 You're repulsed by him.
Yeah.
I saw the acts after this a little bit differently as well. Okay. Then we see the act is done. He gets up, and it's like that moment you're talking about where there's like this moment of silence. I took that moment of silence a little bit differently. We see Krug, Weasel, and Sadie, and they kind of just look at each other like, what now? They hit their, this is like a horrible way to say it, but they reached their climax for this interaction. There was nothing else to do. They weren't going to keep her around. They're just looking at each other kind of in disgust, but not necessarily. I don't know if that necessarily was disgust in themselves. I'm going to tell you why. Because Marie goes off and pukes, and Krug is so used to having control. I honestly think he was offended by the fact that she pukes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Because she goes over and pukes, and he has this look of like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Almost like, watch it again and tell me what you think. But just skip all the other stuff. Just watch that exact moment where she goes and pukes, and he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
At this point, Marie has accepted her fate. She's sitting there and she's saying her prayers.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're all looking at each other like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
They're not praying. She's representing a shame that they should be feeling. I think some of them are feeling it, but I don't think all of them are feeling it. And I think in that moment, they're just pissed that she's shoving that shame in their face.
Oh, that's very fair. Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I saw
read
it.
on it. That's a good read on it. Yeah. Yeah. I could see that being the case 100%.
I mean, she's disgusted with him. She's puking. He thinks he's God's gift or, you know, to women.
Yeah.
He thinks he has it all. Even raping, he's the kind of guy that would think that like this person's privileged to have been with me.
Yeah.
Like he's that kind of guy.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
That's how I saw him. And so this was like a slap in his face.
Yeah. It's like, how dare you be grossed out by me? You are lucky to have had me.
And then the fact that she's like praying, they're all just like accosted with their own actions. And some of them, when it came to Junior, he held the trauma, he held the guilt of that. But when it came to Weasel and Krug, I think they were just, when I watched that scene, I think they were mad that she made them have to even try to feel that way.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Marie's degradation meant to indict both predators and viewers. Like in this scene, we're supposed to all feel bad. Like predators and viewers are supposed to feel accountability in this moment. Mm-hmm. And that's like what they don't want to feel. Mm-hmm. So some critique the film's risk exploitation trauma. I think it does by showing it in excess. And I think that you have very valid points. I think all of these things can exist in the same place.
100%. Yeah.
Your critique is valid.
And listening to your take is eye-opening to me too. So yeah, I agree. It all exists. It all coexists because it's a conversation with different people bringing different things to the table that is what gives us power over it.
Yep. 100%. You know, they follow her into the water. And I almost feel like when she's in that water, she's like trying to almost baptize herself of what had happened and like cleanse herself.
Definitely.
And they shoot her dead. The parents can hear the shots because she's that close to the house. Mm-hmm. And this whole time, the police are useless. Mm-hmm. And I get more into this later on, but the police are always fucking useless.
Yeah.
So we'll just start there.
Yeah. That's a story device. Cause I mean, if you didn't have worthless cops, it would be over too quickly. So
yeah, they are honestly very useless in a lot of these cases. Even so, like they can't do anything until after something has happened.
Yep. And they only really, I mean, it's a very true thing that it's really only the pretty white girls that they even give a fuck about.
Yeah. Yep.
It's something with someone like Marie that they would be like, oh, as incompetent as they are.
Yeah.
That's exactly who they would go try to find.
It's just like very comical, like their car breaks down. And what's funny is that everyone fucking hates them. Mm-hmm. Like they try to get a ride from like a car full of like alternative kind of
like punks
group.
They're like, fuck you pigs.
Yeah. They like stop just to like flick them off and then let go. And then there's like a woman who has like all her chickens and they're like, just get rid of the chickens and we can take the car. This is official police business. And she does like this whole math equation in her head about how much the chickens weigh versus how much they weigh. And she can't take them because the car wouldn't start. I'm just like, this is such a backwoods scenario.
Like Deliverance situation with the banjo music playing, some Looney Tunes shit.
It really is. But we eventually get the group at the parents' house. And so like for this, I have a domestic space as like false sanctuary. They go to the house and they say that their car broke down and that they're like salesmen. And they have like this whole stupid story about like they're plumbers, but they're salesmen. So they are selling like, or there's like insurance, something in there. Yeah. And someone might steal your toilet. So you need insurance on it. It's like so fucking dumb.
Like they were winging it. They were so winging it. Yeah. There was no premeditation to this. They were just like, oh, fuck it. Let's just go in and figure it out as we go.
Very in the moment, very opportunistic, but this is how these situations go. It's very rare that this would be a planned attack. And they are very much resentful of the fact that they're in this home. They have this food, they have this wine, they have all these nice things that, at least for Sadie is like talking shit.
Well, it represents stability that she doesn't have. And she can't have unless she gets herself out of there, which she probably won't. No, she doesn't.
No, she does not. Like in this moment, like the home is often framed as a place of safety for women, but it's revealed as permeable and vulnerable. Patriarchal civility allows monsters in when they appear normal. If these were like people of color, they probably wouldn't have let them in their home.
You know, we talk about this all the time. Like in Barbarian, if Keith, played by Bill Skarsgård, was not this like kind of hot, like cute guy, it'd be a very different story.
Yeah. Yes.
You're right. I mean, they look somewhat acceptable in terms of the patriarchy.
They got all the blood off of them and they put on their nicest clothes to go to this house. They put on like a suit. Yeah. Sadie was wearing a nice dress. And so they made themselves very presentable for this family. The parents' kindness kind of mirrors societal disbelief. Like violence doesn't look like violence until it's undeniable. We see it all the time. We see it being denied. We see people's experiences being denied. How can they be X, Y, and Z if they have this or if they have that? Instead of listening to people's experiences and all the red flags, we will often ignore those things for what evidence is going to feed the narrative, that preconceived notion that you already have about this scenario. That's what you're going to cling to.
Yeah. And you saying the belief in systems, the belief in safety just kind of falls apart when the violence comes home. It reminds me of just in January when it felt like a lot of white people were waking up once Renee Good and Alex Preddy, who were white people, were killed by ICE. Yep. Whereas Keith Porter, a black man in LA, was murdered in a very similar fashion. Almost, it flew under the radar, and it wasn't. And I'm not saying that, I'm not accusing. I think all attention to ICE and the violence that we're witnessing is important. And, white people need to come around, and also it's like you're saying, this people that have privilege in these systems of safety, it isn't real until it comes home, until it becomes personal, like you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, it is 100% systemic racism is what we see. And internalized racism is what we see. If you take that as an attack on you, that is because you don't want to change the systems that are in place.
Exactly, because you benefit from them.
Yeah.
Until you stop benefiting from them, you're fine with it.
Yep. There's nothing negative that you're saying about people who are raised in these systems, this hierarchy that we have. There's nothing wrong with the fact that someone wouldn't notice it. You wouldn't notice it until it's pointed out. But once it's pointed out, to then choose to ignore it, that is where the problem comes in.
That's it right there.
So we're all guilty. We all have systemic racism. We all have preconceived notions and biases. We all do.
Yep.
It's what you do with those, how you educate yourself, how you respond to it. That matters and makes you a good person or a fucking shitbag.
Amen, sister.
And and I'm so sick of the people that I see that are defensive and will not make any changes. All right, so back to the movie. Estella is the mom, and she notices that Junior's wearing Marie's necklace whenever he's like throwing up the bathroom and having withdrawals. And there's an emotional shift that's very abrupt in this moment. And so Estella goes over to John and tells him everything she knows. They overhear them talking about Marie because they find pictures because they're in her room. And so everything, their worst nightmare has just been confirmed. And you see these parents, and I feel for them. I feel for these parents in this moment. I'm a mom. I would, oh God, if anyone was to touch my child ever, I don't care how old she gets. These parents were too nice compared to me.
They were like Kevin McAllister. We're talking John McClane. You need John McClane, not Kevin McAllister in this situation.
Yeah. I would be like the Punisher.
Ooh, there you go.
Ooh, I would be the Punisher. I'd be coming in like there would be no restraint.
Really interesting. We're talking about rage in the context of men. Is that interesting? Like that was mostly me, like defaulting to men here. And this is rage is not something that is easily claimed by women. And I think that is what makes these rape revenge films so compelling as well.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We have a lot of women that are victims and then they're able to turn their victimhood into rage, but they don't start out as rage.
Yeah. That's what I love about Final Girls. You know, that's what I love is the ones that are feral fighters. They are able to transform and take their trauma and their pain and just turn it into this power.
Yeah.
And reclaim.
Yes. But I will tell you, I'm fucking sick of that shit too. I just want to start out with rage. I want women just starting out with rage and just fucking shit up.
Yeah. That's why I love female punk bands, because they start and end with rage and there's just rage in between.
Oh, I fucking love punk bands. My daughter's a drummer in a band. Yeah, no, I'm like, actually, my screenplay, I'm bending a lot of these things. We need equal opportunity for women to be fucking bitches. Yeah. Right? If we're going to be murdered for being bitches, we need to be bigger fucking bitches. Like,
Yeah. We need to claim that space.
They run over, they find Marie's body, and Marie's mom is like, is there anything you can do for her? And John, the dad's like, no, she's gone. But they bring her into the house and they put her on the couch, which I understand as a parent, you're not going to leave your kid on the side of a lake.
Yeah.
But now they know that their options are also very limited. They've just found their daughter dead. They know that the people who did it are in the house. And they know that as soon as those people see their daughter's body has been found, they are going to feel threatened. And so we get this layer of events that starts to happen. This layer of events is very complicated. It's very messy, like the whole movie's been, and it feels gross. None of it is meant to make you feel good or satisfied or like there was actually some closure here. Because there's never closure in these situations.
100%, yeah.
So the mom, Estella, comes across Weasel. He's like asking her questions like, oh, why are you up so late? You know, where's your husband? I noticed he wasn't in the room. And she's like, oh, he was there, you know. But she knows that John is starting to set up traps and she doesn't want him to get caught. She's very smart in this moment. I think people will criticize her character for this, but I think she's very smart in this moment. And she cons him into compromising his position by saying, so she's like luring him. I want to be with you, but we can't do it here. I want to be more private. I want to really be able to enjoy my time with you.
She's doing the honeypot thing because for some women, you use the tools at your disposal. And that was her most powerful tool at the moment. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. So she's able to lure him away, but she knows that he has raped and murdered her daughter. And so she knows men like that will get what they want no matter what. And he was already coming on to her strong, right? So this was also her taking her power back by, instead of being raped, her saying, oh, I want to be with you. That was her taking her power back. That's her con, right? She playing the honeypot. She gives him stupid challenges, testing his masculinity, because she knows he wants to feel like a man.
Yeah, he wants to prove it. Yeah. That was really smart.
Yeah. So she's like, I wonder if you can do this being tied up. So he lets her tie him up because it's a challenge that he wants to accept. If he doesn't accept this challenge, he's not manly enough. And so she goes to like unzip his pants. And I love this part. Like she so intentionally like snags his penis on the zipper. And then she's like, oh, the little guy. Oh my, I'm so sorry. I hurt your little guy.
She does a full Ben Stiller in Something About Mary.
She does. And he's like, oh, he's not that little. He just, just give him some time. He's like, he says he's not a little guy. He's like, it's not a little guy. But
oh my God.
It's so funny. And then, she's trying to get him as vulnerable as possible. And she knows that if he suspects her that she's going to turn on him or try to harm him, he's not going to not fight her. So she needs to get him in the most vulnerable position. And she does that by giving him head. So in a review that I saw, someone was really critiquing her and saying like, oh, I can't believe she would go and do that. I can't believe she would like wait until he almost like climaxes, all this stuff. Like, first of all, the guy like goes in like a second. He's like a quick comer. Like he's not like, okay.
And mercifully so, it seems.
Yeah. She's at first giving him a hand job, right? And he's like, oh, I think I'm going to come. And she challenges him to come. She's like, oh, I want you to.
Yeah.
And then he says, don't you want me to do you? And she responds, oh, you can do both. Can't you? You can do both, can't you? And it's again challenging his masculinity.
Yeah.
She's getting him more comfortable. She's not ready quite yet to make her move. She's fast on her feet, right? She's trying to think of what to do. I understand, like, this woman is smart. And to which he responds, oh, I can come 5 or 6 times if you want me to. She knows his guard's still down. Then she goes to give him oral, copulation. And that's when he's the most vulnerable.
Yep.
And that's when she knows she can attack.
Yep.
Because before that, what was she supposed to do? Yeah. She has no weapon. Like, really being able to take his manlyhood away from him in that way, that was the only thing she had to really hurt him.
Leverage. Yeah, that was her leverage. Her weapon was her teeth.
Yes. And so she was able to take her power back by taking his junk away. So anyone that critiques her for this action is not just misinterpreting her, they're also victim blaming.
Yeah, that's totally fair. It's like, what are you going to do then? What should she have done differently?
Yeah. It's 100% victim blaming. Like, oh, how could she do this? How could she sit there and, go through this whole thing until he gets like, that is victim blaming.
Absolutely.
So she didn't really have a choice, and she knew what he was capable of. And even when she goes to bite off his dick, it is so the way that the camera goes to her hands and how like the amount of force you would have to use to be able to, like, she grabs at the grass and you can see her just like tugging and using as like much
an animal
force. Yeah. Using as much force as she can. I can't imagine that would be easy.
Well, that's the rage. That's probably the adrenaline, like you said, your mama bear, like if something happened to your daughter, your mama bear instinct might just kick in, or you can lift a car or bite a dick off.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's been done a few times, so I don't think it's that hard to do.
That's what makes me kind of angry that people are so critical of it, because what she bit off was his instrument of torture. So it's full circle here. Yeah. It's not just some random thing that Wes Craven put in there. It's a full circle moment. And for her daughter too, kind of, avenging her daughter's violence against her. Yep,
exactly. And from there, they're able to hear Weasel screaming. And so that's what like sets off the alarm for Krug. I love that Wes Craven always has like all these little traps around houses and stuff. He's always used them. He used the traps in The Hills Have Eyes. There were traps. Yeah. He also uses traps in The People Under the Stairs.
Yeah.
I mean, he is He is a child at heart that just wants to like do all these booby traps and be like, we're going to get the bad guy.
Serious. The booby traps are Nancy.
Yes. Yes, she does.
Lots of traps.
Yes, she does. Yeah. And yeah, the first Freddy Krueger was Wes Craven.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the booby traps are his thing. Yeah.
Yep, they are. And she's so smart for it. I love it when she sets up her traps.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm like, she's got like her book. What's also interesting about this is that this is the first time we really see a chainsaw used as a weapon. And this is like 2 years before Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like red, like ashes on Evil Dead.
Yeah. It's so crazy.
Iconic.
Like, yeah. So we have the dad, John, who's fighting with Krug. And then there's like Sadie comes across Estella. They're outside fighting and they've got like a knife fight going on. And then the knife goes and then they're just like girl fighting it, you know, pulling each other's hair, like hitting each other until eventually Sadie like runs, goes into a pool. As she's trying to get out of the pool, the mom finds the knife and is able to like slit her throat, which is so satisfying to see her like finally kill her. One moment that just really struck me and like made me very sad was when Krug, when he's telling his son, Junior, to shoot himself. Because Junior has guilt. Junior has had guilt the entire time, and he's also going through withdrawals. And so he shoots the gun and he's like, no more, stop this. We have to stop this. Like, you've done enough. And Krug is like, in his face telling him kill yourself, and it's so dehumanizing for Junior, and I just feel so bad for him and like the pain that poor kid, that's why he was an addict, because he was already in so much pain.
He was in so much pain. Yeah.
Like, fuck, that being
from
your
his dad. Yeah, the person that's supposed to protect you.
Yeah. So he ends up blowing his brains out, and it's just like really depressing.
Yeah. And to not to, I guess, spoiler alert for the remake, if you haven't heard or haven't seen the remake, but that's what I loved about the remake is they kept him alive and there was a redemption. And, you know, I think if any of those characters deserved one, it was him. And yeah, I thought that gave him his character a little bit more richness. And this ending is just, it's also jarring. It's very jarring.
Yeah, it is. So the cops finally show up. John finally, with the chainsaw, is able to kills Krug. And I think he does it through the groin, but I'm not sure.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Because they don't show, it's kind of like off, like you see the chainsaw going in and the blood splatters. And that's the moment where the cops walk in and they finally fucking got there. They're like, don't do it. But, you know, they're not going to stop him. He does it. And the cops are witnesses to the violence. There are no heroes. The revenge is not triumphant. It's ugly and cyclical. Like, the revenge is for Marie, but Marie's absent. Marie's not there. And her body motivates violence, but she's not able to get her own revenge.
Yes. That was one of my biggest critiques too, it's funny you say that, because that's what I was saying at the beginning, where with the whole being owned and patriarchy with her dad and everything, it's Marie is just a prop. And she is destroyed to motivate, in my opinion, the father's character arc. Like, her suffering is used as fuel for a man's rage. And like, the story isn't about her survival, because she dies like halfway through the movie. It's about her being like male property rights. And she doesn't get her revenge like in I Spit on Your Grave. It's the dad. It's and the mom to a degree, but there's something that's extra prominent about Marie being used for her dad's revenge.
Yeah. He isn't victimized in the way that that we see Estella being victimized.
Totally.
She's seen way more vulnerable than John ever is. And so I agree. It is that way. And that is definitely a critique. But I would say that's more of a critique of mankind in society
Yeah.
than it is.
In the
I think
film.
the movie is showing the reality of this. This is really, women are used as props
Yeah.
for men to, act out their vengeance and their anger. And they're told that the only emotion that they can feel is anger and violence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this lets him really enact that one emotion that he's been conditioned to have.
That's a good point. Just like we're conditioned not to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I mean, it's interesting that a lot of what we're talking about is kind of reframing the film. And that's exactly like you said, that's why we have these conversations, because I left that movie feeling all these things that we've covered over the last however long we've been going. And that was the reason why I was like, this movie is grotesque. It is disgusting. I'm really interested in talking about it, but I had all these critiques. But what you're saying and what's really clicking for me is that these critiques that I have are critiques because they're real. And this movie is bringing those forward to the front, like really highlighting that. And yeah, that's really powerful.
Yeah, it's really powerful, disturbing.
Yeah.
And there are critiques that we should have. It's not just critiques of the movie, it's critiques of the society we live in.
Well, like you said, it coexists. They're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
The critique can be of the movie in that it's misogynistic violence. It's considered an exploitation film, so it's exploitative. And also that's also a critique of mankind, period. So I think you're right. They're not mutually exclusive at all.
100%. Having even these conversations and diving deeper into these movies, I have gained like a deeper appreciation for them. While I don't want to watch them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not popping this on and like having
this
popcorn,
is a comfort
like,
movie.
hey, you guys, we're gonna watch Last House on the Left tonight. Like, this is like the 100th time I've seen this one.
Yeah.
No, but it is an important film.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's important to know where we started and where we need to go. So that's basically the whole movie in a nutshell. So I have a question in here for you.
I did prepare a few answers. Do you mean historical in movies, like film historical?
It could be any. It could be real historical people. It could be fictional historical characters. It's really any of it, all of it. The question for the audience, for the people listening in, I have the question. My little game is, if you could pick 5 historical figures to kill off in a rape revenge movie, who would they be and why? And I go real life with this for some reason, because I don't think. Okay, it has to be historical figures, because it can't be someone right now, because this can't be like, oh, she made a hit list.
Yeah, we don't want to be on anyone's list.
I
don't want to show up on any government list.
I mean, I'm probably already there, but let's not give them more.
Considering where we're headed, we're all on a list.
I just can't give them more ammunition. You go with yours first, and then I'll tell you mine.
Okay, so I took your question as in other films, like what male characters in other films. And the biggest one I could think of was from Promising Young Woman. Have you seen that one? I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
So Adam Brody's character at the very beginning, it's the first scene we see. It is, I cried through that scene, and I almost had to turn the movie off, but I kept going through it because I was talking on another podcast about that movie. So, and I had never seen it. So I kept going, and I felt it at a cellular level, because the movie starts with the main character, the protagonist. If you haven't seen it, this is somewhat of a plot spoiler, but so skip ahead. But her whole shtick is she had one of her best friends was raped violently and committed suicide from the trauma. And so she's kind of avenging her friend. And the way she does this is she goes to bars and she pretends that she is exceptionally inebriated, and then she gets preyed upon, and then she goes home with these guys, and she's still acting like she's inebriated to blackout drunk. And then she picks like a moment where she snaps out of that character, like she's going to expose these men for almost taking advantage of her. And it's incredibly powerful. Everyone in it is such an incredible actor. And it's interesting because a lot of them are in like comedy movies. One of the main guys at the end is like a bunch of comedy movies. But the first opening scene is you see her and you don't know that this is what she does if you go in blind like I did. It opens on her basically passed out on a bench, like a bench at a club. And she is by herself and she looks fucked up. And Adam Brody, his character, zeroes in on her and it starts off, it incrementally heightens the stakes. Yeah. And he is like, hey, can I call someone for you? Like, can I call where are your friends? Like it starts very, very, I don't want to say innocently because it's not innocent, but it starts very small and then it gets more and more and more glaringly obvious what his intentions are. Yeah. And it goes all the way to where he like takes her in the Uber to his place and he starts he really starts pressuring her and then putting himself on her. And it goes so far to the point where I started crying, like literally started crying because it was so hard to watch. And when I saw your question, I was like, that motherfucker.
Yes.
That is the motherfucker I would do that to.
I will say I hate that movie.
Really?
I hate that movie more than I hate The Last House on the Left.
No kidding. That's
and I'll tell you why. Nothing happens to him.
Nothing does happen to him.
No. And so it not only does it decenter the victim, that movie decenters the victim, her friend, but it also has zero consequences for the men who are committing these crimes until the very end.
Until the end, yeah.
But even so, they don't get consequences unless she sacrifices herself.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate that.
Well, and we don't know what his consequences are after the film ends, too, because he's an educated white man. He probably has no consequences.
Yeah. Like, okay, we're trusting the police system.
Yeah. Like the Brock Turner system.
That movie pisses me off.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
I just hate it. I had this conversation with the director of Bystanders. And she also has the feeling that I do about that movie and how it is very problematic when it comes to rape revenge movies. Yeah. And it sets a very bad precedent for rape revenge movies. It targets people who shouldn't have been targeted. Mm-hmm. She also victimizes other women and she focuses on those women more than she focuses on the men.
Okay, that's fair. I need to watch that again with your critique because that's totally fair.
Because she drugs her friend that didn't believe. So she drugs the other friend and makes that friend believe that she was assaulted, which is worse than anything she did to those men. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So she ends up attacking the women, but it really decenters the victims. Mm-hmm. It lets the guys get away with way too much. And it's trying to be too aesthetic.
That is a very valid point too. It is aesthetic. Yeah. I mean, that's emerald fennel, right? Yeah. That's totally fair. Totally fair.
I would love to have another conversation with you on this.
Yeah. The rape revenge films that are written and directed by women have a much different feel. And I think for that reason, too, we can apply different types of critique. And I think you're absolutely spot on about Promising Young Woman. And there's the Nightingale. There's MFA.
I love MFA.
Revenge. Yes. I loved MFA too. Yeah, I loved MFA too. Revenge.
I did an episode on MFA before.
Oh, yeah. I vaguely remember that. Yeah. Oh, that's such a good one. I really did. I say I love it's because it really affected me in a meaningful way.
Yes. Yeah. And that one's messy.
It is. It is messy.
It's very grounded. It's very realistic.
It's tactile. Yeah.
I think that's one where the rape is shown in a very purposeful way as to make you also sympathize with the victim and also have that experience of the victim. Rape doesn't always have to be shown. when it is shown, it needs to be shown in a tactful way.
Yes.
I am very much a believer that just like we are able to look away whenever we're on social media and things like that, I think looking away too fast lets us ignore the pain that's caused to so many women. And for me, especially with men, I want them to sit in it.
Yeah.
They
Witness
need to
witness
yes,
it.
Yes. Witness it and sit in the feeling. Make them have that mirror neuron experience of feeling what it feels like to be a victim and get uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
Because that's an empathy response. And until you have that empathy response, nothing will change.
Yeah. Yeah. That fundamentally shifts things.
Yeah. If I could do a rape revenge, maybe Thomas Jefferson.
Okay. I was wondering if you were going to go for a white president because,
he raped women. He raped his slaves. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd fucking kill him. The other one that I had in my head, Christopher Columbus. I would fucking kill him.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Our history is just so peppered with sinister men. And this type of art really exposes that. And that's what it is. It's art. And it starts conversations. And like you said, it makes people uncomfortable. And that's really what we're here to do. And that's what artists are here to do.
This is what I love about podcasting and talking about these movies and stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's so many other like historical men that I would definitely rape, revenge, murder, but we'll stick to the historical ones.
Yeah. And the fictional ones.
But
the fictional ones represent, they do. It all just represents patriarchy, and we need to smash the fucking patriarchy.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's about it. Are there any final words you have before I let you go?
I think this really enlightened me, really shifted my view of this film. And that's, again, why we have these conversations. And thank you for giving me the chance to talk to you about this. This is great. I would love to have more of these conversations with you because I feel like if there's two people that could do this justice, it's two women in the horror field that are very femme forward and full of rage. So yes. It's us. That would be us. But yeah, thanks again for having me. And I know Kelly's looking forward to speaking with you on the other one you're doing. I don't know if it's a spoiler or mentioning it, but love to have you on ours eventually too. When we talk about, we'll find another great women with rage movie to talk with you.
It's my favorite topic.
Yes. And it's one that needs to be talked about a lot more. So I'm with you on that.
Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a great night.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Let's end on a high note. Weekly horror update. Happy Friday the 13th. Regal Cinema is bringing the Friday the 13th franchise back to theaters for every Friday the 13th occurring in 2026. Pretty cool. Mike Flanagan is reportedly set to direct a new adaptation of the classic Stephen King novella, The Mist, with King himself described as being very happy with the direction. Cold Storage comes out in theaters today. It's a sci-fi horror comedy film about a highly contagious mutating fungus that escapes from a former military bunker, forcing 2 storage facility employees and a retired operative to contain it. I finished writing my screenplay and I can't be more excited about sharing it with the world. It's a rape revenge movie, but not like anything you've seen before. I expect this will take some time to get made, and I'll keep you guys updated throughout the whole process. If you have an indie horror movie you would like to talk to me about, my email is screamqueenpodcaster@gmail.com. I love talking to creatives out there, getting their hands bloody about what's at the heart of their horror movie. This is a weekly podcast with new episodes out every Friday. All the research, writing, and audio is done by yours truly. This is a one-woman show, and I am doing my very best. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. It really means a lot. You can find me on Instagram at Scream Queen Podcaster, Blue Sky at Scream Queen Podcast, TikTok at Scream Queen Podcast. And there's a link that will take you to my YouTube and Facebook page as well. Remember, it's never the victim's fault, but if I ever catch you following a drug dealer to a second location, I'll kick your ass. Don't do it. Until next time, goodbye.
Hehehehe